Hello world, Patricia O'Connor here, and Frida Darcy is in the house and by my side. And this is going to be a Saturday night drop. Earlier today I did a drop, and I said that while I was on that video, we were taking a look outside, and I was showing you a couple of pines that I thought I would probably do a little bending on. And to that end, I finally had a moment to look at this tree and see what I think about what its height should be. I'd said earlier that I thought that from here up was probably originally a sacrifice branch, but in keeping with what a lot of bonsai houses will do, they will put motion in the trunk all the way up and let the new prospective buyer, we're in training right now, these are training trees, the new prospective buyer can decide whether, I mean, this is a hypothesis on my point. I say that because I thought all along that this was probably the original intended height for the tree, just as the way you would make it. But you know what? That also happens to be a very, very attractive front. So I would either have it be that or have it be something like that. No, I like both of those. So I basically chickened out of about throwing any wire to that. I haven't chickened out of the idea of chopping this tree. Or it does seem to have, it's got a really good base here. It's got really good motion. It's got really good motion where it comes out of the ground there. You see it comes out and just immediately starts running that direction, and then it makes that. But it starts to get skinnier at the top, just the way you would like it to do. It's kind of graceful. And then the next year's growth. And then the next year's growth takes off. And that actually has had a good year. And it looks in some places to be a little fatter than the bottom. So I could get to where I could fall in love with that shape and do more with it at some point. I will have to put some more to it, or it would probably try to straighten itself out to some extent. I'm not really so certain about that, but that's what I would worry about if I just tried to leave it this size and see what happens. But we're in training. The only difference between training and just hanging out is training comes with treats. So anyway, yeah, so I chickened out. This is not the really good time. I don't really have to chop this right now, but I will probably chop it right here sometime in the future, unless I get some kind of weird change of heart. That will make that much of it right there be in the tree from top branch, and our guy will get cut right in there. I thought about doing it on tonight's show. My feeling is that when it comes to these guys, my little $7, I mean, it was like 10 for 70, so I don't have a lot in that. I don't want to hurt anything. So I would that in a minute if I thought I needed to or wanted to, but I think the rule of thumb is just about any time is good for pines. But I want to double check that before I chop that. And I don't have to do anything right now. What you just saw was me add a little bit of Johnson's baby shampoo. I mean, not baby shampoo, Johnson's baby oil. Get it right, Pat. And I think this is actually the baby-free formula, though. So, yeah. This is a cool looking little pot. I already spilled the beans. I got this tree and pot for $85 plus tax. But as as I recall, trees that were in little grow containers like this were going for, I believe, like $44 is what I remember seeing. And that would have been $44 plus tax, just like this was $85 plus tax. So this tree in better, probably the same soil with a little top dressing of Akadama. It's a nice looking small granule size. Eighth, I think an eighth or finer, 32nd. It's at least top dressing, okay. And then this pot. So for $85, this pot is better than a $40 pot in my mind. I think this guy is pretty cool. Has one drainage hole, one pretty good little drainage hole. I'm not going to turn the tree upside down to do that, but then it does have four little holes on the corners for wire, and whoever wired that up did a really pristine job. So that's all I'm going to do to this guy. I was going to throw some wire to it and possibly chop this. I've looked at it. This looks a little bit like what I've been telling you I do, and not what I do, what I've been doing. I've been wiring these tiny little pines by getting the wire around them as tight, and as short around the base, starting at the base as low as I can, and then I will stick this very metal chopstick. I wouldn't use this because I'd knock out a tooth as a chopstick, but this metal chopstick / device, and I'll lay it in tight against the trunk, and then I just kind of twirl the trunk around this as if the trunk were a wire. But because the trunk is wrapped in its wire already, I then pull that out, and I've got a really tight spiral that I can then twist around and manipulate into other cool shapes so that it doesn't just look like a wine opener spiral, you know what I mean? So that's, in a way, that looks like that's what was done here. I can see that, you know, I can see the loops in it, and I like them. When I looked at it, having decided the front, that almost changed my mind about taking off the top. So basically what I decided is I probably will, but it's not really necessary to do it right now. I can pick strategically a better time, and meanwhile, this part of it will act just fine as a sacrifice branch and help to fatten up the rest of the tree. And with that, that's all I'm going to do to that guy. But I think the baby oil, I do think the baby oil helped the look of that guy quite a bit. So, yeah, there's that. So this is one that I cleaned up a couple of days ago, but never got around to bending. And this is one that I brought in its place to make up for the first one there that I've decided not to bend. So yeah, that's kind of where we are there. Okay, and this is we're just going to go with aluminum wire. This is not going to be, I do have a little bit of copper wire left. I'm trying to save it, at least for trees where it'll stay on there a little longer. So yeah, I don't think this is going to be on that long, regardless, before it will start to dig in or bite and will have to come off. So that's my thinking with aluminum wire. It won't be on there long enough to do something that looks a little nicer. Although it is harder to bend, but it's also smaller gauge of copper wire has better staying power. You have to use, I think, a little larger aluminum wire to get the same effect. So what I'm going to do here is go with a lighter gauge wire, and then I'm going to double it. So that way I'll get everything out of it. And unfortunately, early on, I lost the end to this, so now I have multiple ends in my bundle, and I just kind of slide my little twist ties around to uncover more and more wire, and then that should be enough wire to do all kind of damage. But I haven't cut any new, made any new cuts mid-strand, so at some point I'll finally get down to that first extra cut, and then the rest of the roll will be more uniform, and that little part of me that worries about stupid crap like that will be happy. So yeah, all right, that's giving us a little material to work with. Put the ends together. Give it one of those. Do. All right. If I can do that. So the wires are a little wonky. We can fix that. Watch this. Well, that was at least one. We'll do these one at a time. I thought I had them both. Oh, that's why. Okay. Get a grip, Pat. Okay, that's got it. Easy. Easy. Okay, so the toys that I'll be playing with tonight are some fairly fine aluminum wire, and I have my pliers, Japanese pliers. These are really nice feeling, nice working pliers. They've got a good, I don't know if I can show you that, but they've got a tread in here that grips real well. When you want to grip some wood and pull it or tear it, you can definitely do that. On the other hand, the end is smooth. So if you're trying to, and it also, it twirls well in your hand for whenever you're trying to wrap up your wire at the base or something. It spins well in your hand. Even better if you don't have a thumb ring, but I still manage pretty well. I'll be using those, and for some other small stuff, I'll also be using its sister pair of wire cutters. They also are really have a nice precision feel to them, and they close nice and they close tight, and they have also a really smooth edge to them, so that if you cut something off when you cut wires next to the trunk, you shouldn't dig in, as long as you're just, so far I haven't, and I'm sure having said that, I probably will now, but darn it. Anyway, that's, oh yeah, and then tweezers are hanging out. Our chopstick is hanging out in case we go that way. And then I've got my skewers instead of bamboo. What I call bamboo are usually just little wooden sticks like that, little cocktail skewers. I find those pretty handy to go with. Now, so what I'm about to do is stab this wire into the plug. Since there's not so many roots in here already, I'm not going to blindly stab the wire right in the end. I'm going to stab it off at an angle so that I'm just not cutting in to everything it has in the way of starter roots. You know, assuming there's not a whole lot of roots outside of that plug at this point. And also, by putting it at an angle, it helps me a little to make that. It helps me a little to make that first bend. I'm looking to see how I'd like to do that. Oh, there, okay, I guess we'll do that. All right, so I almost made a little X there with that first wire. And I've got, my little dog is being incredibly sweet right now. Full disclosure, she thinks I'm still holding dog treats. Yeah. She's sweet. She'd like to sit in my lap anyway, though. So as you see, I'm doing quite a few wraps around here. I am more than most angles I do on trees. I want the ability to do some hellacious little bendation to this guy. So I'm keeping my spirals pretty tight. And always add another wire if we need to. Also, I would be collecting a whole lot more needles with this wire had I not cleaned this tree up the other day. I cleaned it up before I thought I was going to do this video then. I got sidetracked with other chores. But just sometimes that happens. So yeah. So I'm kind of trying not to catch or trap these buds too much, like I just almost did there. If I can get those guys out of that'd be, if you guys could clear out of there for just a second. Yeah, so if I can keep from, you know, I don't mind if I catch a needle or something, I can dig that out later, and if it breaks, you know, we'll live. But I haven't got a firm handle on what buds are going to do what where. So as I go up, if I can keep from tearing off any buds, that's the A-OK way to go. And, you know, I can get just a little bit over a twist out of it, and then it is a good time to change my hold. I'm always pinching the trunk and the wire to try to support everything at the same time, if you know what I mean. Like I've got it pinched right now. That pinch with this hand right here is keeping the tree from that plug from trying to spin around in the soil as I start torquing, as that wire gets harder to bend, is what I'm trying to say. So there we go. That's kind of some fine wire, and it has a and there's our first little, yeah, I got it. And so there's some fine wire. I doubled it and then ran it up there. I think it'll be strong enough for what we're trying to do. And what we're trying to do is, I have already done a couple of them that are spiraled, like the first one I showed you. This one, I would like to do something a little bit more literati, I think, to this one. I should start off with some motion in the bottom, though. That's going to be my go-to move there. So we want to get some motion going here in the bottom. So I'm trying to grab it by the base, and then with these pliers, I'm going to grab it by the wire, and then give it one of those, and then kind of change my position a little, and then trying to bend the tree without the plug spinning around in the pot, because after all, it is a fairly new plug. So yeah, that's the first little bit of direction that we got started there. I'm going to try to accentuate that a little more. Yeah, that would be accentuated a little more. All right. And then I'll bring it on around a little. Release the bud. And then I grab it farther up. This is going to bruise my knuckles, so I'll just do this. Grab it with other pliers because I got more power that way. And then I'm just going to put, a little slowly but surely, put that twist in there. I see that it was kind of curling under, so I went the opposite way. So, I want that to bend down more. I don't know if you can see what I mean. So I'm going to grab it here by these wires, and I'm going to take this bend that I made and bring it down a little. And I'm grabbing it, oops. I'm going to grab it this side, not on the tree as much as on the wires itself. I want that to have a little bit more cock to it to the side. Now, so far I haven't really upset the roots or anything, and that's kind of important, and I say it that way because this guy hasn't really been potted that long. I feel like this tree was probably started its training about the same time that some of the, in the same stage of life that the trees that I showed you earlier today were on, when they were, a little smaller. So this one, it's a little tougher to get that first really good movement in. And one thing that I wanted to do with this, now let me think about this. If I go in there, so I go there, and then I'm going to bend the top down underneath itself, and then we're going to grab it in the middle and flip it the other way and see how that works. So, and if that doesn't, we'll do something else, but that's kind of what I have in mind. I ran the wire this far up the trunk and possibly maybe need to do a little bit more with that in mind. If you saw me pull those wires out that long, that was kind of why I did that way. Okay, so I do have a hold on that. And I'm going to come around here. Do that. I should probably grab it farther down. Okay, we'll do that. I think that'll be easier. Yeah, do that. I'm watching this trunk for cracks. This is all still pretty green, so that's why I'm getting away with this. See, I've got it right now at a 90. Oh, why didn't she stop then? Well, because we're doing this more than a 90. Little bend, little big bend. Okay, now What are you gonna do now, Patricia? Just get a little, let's get a little arc. So I want to go this other way. Let's get a little arc going in this guy, and then start. So what I intend to do now, is come over here and grab this guy. I intend to just twist this right on around, and I'm grabbing it far enough out, far enough away that I won't be trying to do that bend all in just like one place, but over that span. This also looks like a really good, and I'm always grabbing the wire to do these bends. Now, get those out of reach before you grab them and cut your tree in half. You see me coming right on around that time. Okay, so that's where we are so far. That kind of looks familiar. That kind of looks like that guy over there. I kind of make my stuff a little tighter than that. Also, yeah, it's probably what it looks like after it comes out of the wire a year from now. It will do something similar to that after it relaxes a bit. Is what I would be guessing. I'm throwing my thumb in there to try to make these bends have a little bit more curve to them, and not just be bent around the flat edges that I used to get them started. If you want a bend to happen somewhere, I'm using the pliers to get that bend started where I want it. But then once I've done that, I'm grabbing the pliers farther down and bringing that bend around so that I get a bend that's a little rounder than just something that my knuckles have been broken too many times to do this. So that I don't just automatically get something that does just exactly that. I do have some of that in there anyway. It's okay. What nature does that when it when it breaks a limb, but then it is kind of still there. That's what that, to me, that's what that looks like. So at this point, I'm going to add more directions. It's like the flow is going one way, but it's better if you could say it's going this way and it's also going that way. So one part of it that was going this way is now going this way and this way at the same time. And some of that plays right into what I'm doing now down here. And some of that makes down here at the bottom look better, but works against it. That's okay. We'll bend it back around later. That just happened to work also, unlike what I just said. Okay. I liked that a little better before I made that bend less harsh. Okay, what now? What do we want to do, Pat? Let's bring that up a little. Turn that. Okay, so that was almost a caught-on moment, but I can't really have a caught-on moment. Clear this away a little bit. Akadama on the floor. Boom mix on the floor. That's okay. It'll go with the pine needles. So yeah, Saturday night. It has been a really nice. It's been a really nice weekend so far. Yeah, it has. It's been a really nice weekend so far. All right, we'll just start with that. I already see something on here I want to fix. Let me get this. I got a chunk of. No, that's the root ball. We'll leave the root ball alone, Pat. I do already see one thing I want to fix. That bend coming around to your side is too straight for me. It's a little Z. Which one's that? Let's see. That's okay. I kind of did that. I kind of like that. I guess I'm just kind of in love with this shape right now. I must be. I keep finding different ways to do it. All right. Okay. Where does that needle go? So that's kind of. Yeah, all right, starts, it's kind of what we have there. What do you have there? Comes out of the ground right here. Makes that, comes around, goes around, dips down a little before swinging back up. I'm then going to make. No, that's okay. That's okay. Well, it's pretty okay. We'll give that a pretty okay. A little bit more. A little bit more. I was looking over all the little mame pines I've done so far, and I was having a little trouble getting them on their balance of water and oxygen. The thing is, those little plugs a lot of times will dry out. Some days it doesn't have to be really hot. If it's just dry, they'll dry out really fast. So in the morning, 3 days a week, a lot of times they get watered whether I think they need to or not, because these little root plugs, if they go dry an hour after I leave, they have 7 hours to die. And so right now everybody is doing really good. Watering them that much hasn't caused me any issues. I'm more worried. I'm not as worried about a little bit of yellow needles from a little bit of overwatering. What I would like to see, and I've already started seeing it on some, is roots coming out of the bottom, and that's a good indication that we are out of that. excuse me, that we are out of that little plug, and that there's enough, you know, that way I won't have to worry about it. If it dries out, that's good. We get a little bit of dry out in between waterings, that's all right. We don't want to kill anything. And all right, so we're gonna call that good for now. That's the first movement coming out of the trunk. It just kind of comes out and rolls over this way. And then it comes right on around. Yeah, and then it dips down a little and then comes bouncing right back up. All right, that's one. No, that's 6. That would be number 6 that I've done that way so far. Kind of rake this back a little bit away from the edge of the table so I don't just completely fill up my little table. This guy didn't get the cleanup that the other one got because it was sitting outside until just a little while ago. So yeah, well, let's get rid of that. So from what I read, when it comes time to get rid of needles, the methods, of course, are pulling them or plucking them. And it looks neater to some aspect to pluck them. If you cut them, leaving the, you know, basic follicle, you may get a back bud. I may not want a back bud, but it's kind of like a party invitation. I may not go to every one of them, but you know, it's nice to be asked, right? So that's kind of, you know, what I'm saying is creating options isn't such a bad thing. And I'm just kind of scissoring back some of these brown needles, and if I get some of the 1 or 2 green, the main thing I want to try to do is avoid the bud sites. Those are where we already have things that are going to be tree parts at some stage. We don't need to kill the ones we have. We would probably, until we know exactly what this is going to do and what we're going to do with it, we'd probably like more options. I had a couple of leftover wires here. I think we're, oops, easy there, Pat. So yeah, this is some more of my that same aluminum wire left over from earlier. I think that'll probably still be just enough. We'll put some motion into this guy too, and that'll be 7 out of 10 of those puppies already done. Checking the couch, see how my puppy in crime is doing over there. She's doing fine. She's doing her nails. See if it works better this way. So far, it's not. Maybe. Ooh. Okay. Now let's. That's pretty good. That's not that bad. That's not so bad. Get those pruners, those bar cutters the heck away from us before we do something silly with them. All right. Now, so I'm kind of making an X, not a cross. Yeah, an X, you know, because it's trunk, my wire's coming in at an angle like that. So I'm thinking that's more of an X than a cross. What do I know? But that's what I mean when I say that. So come on around, and as I've been told on videos that I've watched, pull around this way, pull around this way, pull around this way, and pull around this way. sometimes you get, of course, sometimes you're going to be doing this with small wire and you're grabbing a base and you can just, you know, you can get away with that. Right now, the main emphasis is getting this guy tightly around this still sort of fragile green trunk, which the green part helps us. It means it's going to be more forgiving to our shenanigans. And I keep changing my hold on it as I go up, just like I did on the one earlier, just a little while ago. Oh no. Bring that back down. I'm kind of trying to stay out of the buds. I'm not totally worried about catching every needle. It's better if you don't wire your needles down. It just defeats the purpose if you tear the bud up trying to get it off, though, also, I guess. Okay. Pull that down out of the way. You see how tight I'm wiring that? I'm wiring those spirals so that I can get the most use out of this wire. Using a smaller gauge wire, but the spirals are tight. It's doubled. And I think I'm doing less damage to the tree than if I were using one strand of bigger gauge wire and pulling it harder. I would probably mess with this tree more that way, I think. I'm not some world-renowned expert. Now, this is what I was talking about, what I had been doing with those smaller pines, where I corkscrew it around. I'm going to do that how? Going that way. So we're going to go this way. Hang on, Patricia. And then I'm grabbing the trunk as I'm coming around with it, just like I was grabbing the trunk when I was coming around it with wire. Now the trunk is getting the same treatment that the wire had gotten. And we just might have made a scar. Okay. So now I've got a bunch of little ridiculous bends in that son of a gun. Look at that. I mean, and that's all stayed in there pretty tight. So from now, at this point, I think it'll make it easier for me to work around this smaller pot. I'm going to go ahead and clip it back like I did the first one early, because I want to get down in here tighter. So what I'm doing is just cutting the lip off here and dumping more boom mix on the turntable. On the Lazy Susan, on the display platform. So I dropped a hint, not dropped a hint, I left a link even. I was talking about a video, not a video, get it right, Pat. A newspaper article from the New Yorker The Beauty and Abuse of Bonsai. And I thought, hearing that article, I thought it would probably be about, the carving tools and then breaking out the blow torches and the bending with wire and all that. I thought they were probably talking about the process of making bonsai and how brutal it could be. And I was curious if they were going to go on some angle. I wasn't 100% sure it was a Ryan article. It was just a picture of Ryan Neal at Bonsai Morai, excuse me, next to some outstanding juniper, I think. So I was kind of wrong about what they meant by abuse. They were talking about the abuse that was the apprenticeship program, and I found that very interesting. Yeah, I did. I found that really interesting. But here's something else. There was a tree that whenever I just got addicted to bonsai here a couple of years ago, and I was just clicking buttons that was showing YouTube videos of amazing trees, just, the same song I kept hearing because everybody was using the same copyright-free material. And it just kept showing all of these, and there was one that I didn't understand what I was looking at. And I looked at it and I equated it to something that some guy had said. He was not mechanically inept, but he looked at one of my motorcycles that I had hand built. He goes, I know that they are going to utilize heads and spark plugs and carburetors and a spark device. But he goes, but I'm looking at your motorcycle and I don't know what I'm looking at. Those are on there somewhere, but I couldn't tell you where they were. And that was kind of the way I felt whenever I saw this tree. It had some weird, spirally textures to it. But at the top, it had dreadlocks that came down like little wooden spirals. And I was going, what the hell am I looking at? And all this time later, I read what that was. That was an award-winning tree by a world award-winning Japanese bonsai artist, who is why one of our American bonsai artists is like such a big deal, because he was apprenticed underneath this guy. And this guy had won the Kokufu show in Japan with this tree, and people were, people were giving him grief because all kind of reasons. What they were saying about this tree was it was more a sculpture. It was more of a sculpture than a bonsai. And that was kind of without ever having heard that quote, and I probably wouldn't have put it into those words, but those were better words than I would have thought of. I couldn't recognize the apex as being what I would normally see. I did see leaves and foliage, and enough of it in range, and pads that looked like, he had utilized like a trunk with a lot of bark on it that almost made it look like a stone. And then from that, the limbs had outcroppings of what looked like small trees, and above that were these spirally cues. What that was he had gone up at the top of a tree and done the bark, done the peat moss, covered it with the plastic, kept it, and got roots to grow up there, like he was going to cut it off and do a graft, right? Cut that off to start another tree. Except when he got all those roots going, he turned the tree over and planted that Now he's got the original root base hanging up in the air, and all of that dreadlock looking looking things coming out of the top of this beautiful tree was were the roots those were the old roots. And if you look and at one point you were shown the tree as it was originally, and then you're showing the tree as it was when it won Best of Show, top dog for you. And you were like, how did they do that? I don't see that in this. And wow, that is that? Really? How'd you do that? And that, I thought that was just absolutely, I don't really know what that has to do with what I'm doing right now. I just couldn't believe what I was looking at the first time I had seen that. And I found it no less amazing when I heard how it was done. It wasn't like a magic trick that once uncovered kind of killed it. It didn't. It was even more amazing to find out what was going on there. Anyway, that was just something I thought while I kind of went a little. So this is what I got going on so far. I wrapped the tight wire around this guy, and then I wrapped it around, as you were watching me, I wrapped it around that guy like it was a tight wire itself. And then I just kind of give that some manipulation. Let's see, where do we come out of the ground? We come out of the ground right here, and we go up and roll. Is that okay? Is that okay? Oh yeah, no, that comes out of ground with plenty of movement. There's plenty of movement. It is. Yeah, we'll be okay with that, I think. I want to make sure in all of that I didn't accidentally straighten that out. I've done that before. I've gotten good movement and then went on to bend other things, not realizing I was straightening out my first move. That could go. Oh, I see. It could go a little more that way and this way. Pulling that in. Okay. So there we go. That would be start. That would be start to tree number 7, where the there's my favorite scissors. This is my favorite scissors. I haven't needed them yet. I haven't needed scissors for anything. But that's kind of what I have going on there. Am I going to take this any farther up? No, I'm not. I'm going to leave that as it is and chop that wire off right in. Yeah. Boom. Okay. So that's that little tree. It's got a little, we won't ever accuse this guy of laying around and not doing anything. It's got all kind of motion in it now. Fairly drastic motion. It looks like it was wiggling around trying to find the light. And yeah, I kind of like it. So that's probably about. I'm trying to do this to where I won't turn around and bend it for another 15 minutes after I stop the video the way I do sometimes. The main thing is, you see what I'm doing in that, ooh, that's cool. The more I like something, the more I go, ooh, ooh, I love that. Which is like, yeah, ooh, I love that. Okay. So now it's an infinity shape. And that's coming out of the ground and doing what? Okay. All right, I'll show you again because I changed it. I already changed it. That's more roundy anyway. I was trying to get that straight hook out of it that I'd almost made. We're gonna hold that there. Bam. That's my Saturday night. 2 Japanese black pine trees, she says as she continues to tweak the damn tree. And we threw a little baby powder on our unglazed Japanese black pine pot. Clean that puppy right up. Yep. So that's us. Like and subscribe if you guys haven't already. I appreciate you. Frida Reba Darcy appreciates you. We will probably just for the halibut knock out another 2 or 3 pine. We have 3 left, I think, if that's right. 3. We have 3 Japanese black pine left to put some motion in before they grow too old. And I should probably do that in another one since I've got the table set up and I'm already sitting here making messes. Why not? Thank you so much for watching.